Howdy, true believers. Joel Clark here, lead designer and writer and almost finisher of Lone Wolf Fist. I just got done rereading the domain rules. Everything is working really good aside from the node rules, which really aren't too far away from being where I want them to be. So you're talking about like 4 pages worth of work, and then I'm good. That's it. No more rewrites. There are some things I want to add. I did a draft. A paper copy draft of some disaster, like a disaster as a monster manual entry thing, and I liked it a lot. And I want to do at least one of those, 7 total, for all the different lores. Put those in the either I'd probably put those in the bestiary chapter. Um, the I moved a couple things around. Well, I don't know if I actually finalized that or not, but I'm thinking about moving a couple things around. Like, I really kind of want that big explanation I have for artifacts to go into the GM chapter where it belongs. It's too long to be a call-out box. I could really easily place it in that chapter. There's a couple of other things I might add to the GM chapter, little bitty things. But yeah, we're almost done. I think this is the weekend. I think today and tomorrow I'm going to finish it, or rather tonight and tomorrow night I'm going to finish it. So, looking forward to that. Anyway, um, I've been thinking about the domains a lot because I've kind of gone back to like what did I want these for, and I think that ultimately what I wanted them for was I wanted a strategic game that kind of overlaid and informed the the scene by scene play of the game. I think that's kind of what I expected them to do. Now that I'm going back to re-examining it, I'm really noticing the limitations that I have as a GM. Like, because like whenever I go to run a game, the thing that allows me to run a game is not having to worry about that kind of overhead. Like I like to pre-make my dungeons, or adventure areas of whatever type and case. Same thing with the NPC personalities. Um, I like to have it all written down, so all I have to do is reference it while I play. That way, that frees up my RAM so that I can kind of process what's happening in the moment, whether there be the strategy of whatever kobolds the players are fighting, or like the machinations of the NPCs, or like the description of the environment and making sure I'm capturing the players' attention and entertaining them and giving them stuff to do. Like that's the interesting stuff about role playing to me is the immediacy of the situation, and it's helpful to me as a GM to just have stuff that kind of sits there until I need to pick it up and use it. So really, everything that works like dice work is great for me. Dungeon Master screen has a bunch of unrolled dice on it, basically, and I just pick up those dice and roll them when I need them to do something. Just little tools, just hanging around, easily accessible. Someone compared RPGs to cookbooks in that they have to be something that you use while you're doing the activity they're describing. And I think that's a really apt comparison. And so it's really difficult for me, talking about limitations as an author now, it's really difficult for me to take an idea and take the abstractness of it in my head and kind of figure out what I want to do with it and then turn that into prose and that prose into rules. And it kind of feels like it's that process. Like I have this wild, fiery idea in my head, and then I try to commit it to paper, and I go through several layers of failure before I find some kind of way to make it functional. And I don't have a good intuitive sense for taking an idea, or at least I initially didn't, for taking an idea and making it functional. Nowadays, I'm a little too good at making it functional in a specific way I learned how to, and so everything kind of gets filtered down into like one or 4 or 5 different core rules that games have, which is to say like an attack throw or a saving throw, or some interaction with the environment that can be handled by an appeal to like Free Kriegspiel or the Tactical Infinity. So like I really don't think about role playing games in complicated terms. I sort of think about all of them in terms of like stuff you could find in the wood grain 0th edition D&D box released in the 70s. And I think about them that way because I'm looking at the RNA of role playing games. I'm looking at the war games that predated them, and I know a lot about war games. Like I used to play Warhammer when I was a kid, which is like baby's first war game. But like I get into historic wargaming here in the last few years, and I've learned a lot about it. And and it's really easy to separate the wheat from the chaff in like what rules that are going to hit the table in a fun way after you've played enough games. Like if you've played one game and love it, you just play that game, you don't question it. If you've played maybe 10 games and you've enjoyed some of them, you only play those games. But if you've played over 100 games, like most dedicated gamers have, I mean, like you have like a shelf of your favorites, and you like routinely play new games at people's houses, and like you just encounter games all the goddamn time. You talk about games and the elements that different games have in common, and unique new elements that are brought in, and what's good about them. Like you can tell real quick, and most of the people that are on my Discord right now are the kind of people that can tell real quick what's wheat and what's chaff. That's one of the reasons I value their feedback so much, because like whenever I give them something, they use it in a game, and if it works, they tell me that it works and how, and if it doesn't, they also tell me that, and both of those feedbacks are extremely useful. I also, and I don't know how I did this, I attracted a group of really eclectic weirdos, which is wonderful. You all have these fantastically divergent life experiences and very different ideas and philosophies, and the strength of that, since we all share the common mania for this fist-based punch game, the strength of that is that all of them can contribute real, actual data from their knowledge pools and lives. Like many times, I've had someone in the forum, or the Discord is on a forum, but the Discord forum, whatever you call it. But someone in the Discord straight up correct me on something I'd gotten wrong in my research. Like the famous example to me, the one that really sticks out, is the lifting chart under power, where I'm just talking about how strong you have to be as a person to lift certain amounts of weight. And I had a weightlifter, actually his YouTube channel. He did some let's plays or let's reads of the game in earlier development. And he straight up was like, okay, well, I lift, and you're wrong about this stuff. My friends and I laughed about this. And his feedback improved that power chart enormously, because I'm a weakling. I do not lift, bro, and I have very little upper body strength and almost no practical experience in lifting heavy things. I just don't, and I'm a wimp. That's me. Sorry, but like the fact that he actually understands that, knows that, was really useful, and the fact that he shared it with me, just here you go. So his contribution is forever emblazoned in the power chart. Y'all are way more effective now thanks to his feedback. So, way to go with that. This is a little bit of a scattershot one. I've had a very stressful month or so. There's still a lot of adjustments, and a lot of missed sleep. This last week, I had like 4 hours sleep a day, in 1 hour spurts throughout the day as I was doing stuff. So I was a little scattered. But before that week started, at the end of that previous weekend, I had a really brilliant idea for how to reorganize and write the domain chapter. And I was going through it and reading it, and I was like, some of this is really usable and some of this kind of isn't. Let me see what I can put in with this new thing. And I was really excited to get to work on it, and my work week started. And I was like, well, okay, that's fine. I'll just wait until the next time I have free time to work on it. And I had a solid like week, maybe 9 days. It's felt like a long time of just missed sleep and stress and like no forward progress, and it's awful. Like I've kind of wedged myself in an uncomfortable position up here in the frozen Northlands, and like it's doable, but it's not doable with enough free time and like mental time to actually like work on the stuff that I love and think about the games that I love. And I've not been seeing my friends or role playing on a day to day, so like, or not on a day to day, but like on a week to week basis, and it like that hurts. You don't use this stuff, you lose it. And I'm not interested in just spouting theory. I want to make something practical and workable. Like that's the goal of all of my role playing design. And if you don't run games, you don't do that. Um, but yeah, so I've been reflecting on limitations a lot recently as a result. Hence the early parts of this little opening monologue. I'm going to wrap this up here. I could probably ramble for another hour, but I'm just going to write instead, and I'll see if I can't get this chapter done. If I do, I'll just leap into working on the layout for the final chapter, which I've got a template I'm working on for it, which should speed that up pretty considerably, and putting those disasters in. And that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much all I got to do on it, and then I'm going to call it done. Anyway, take care, guys. See you next time.